Yeah, so as we mentioned, my name is, of course, Armaan Sami. I'm the DACH and Netherlands Territory Manager. And with me, I have Saurav Kumar, which you've probably already heard us chatting for a little while, our Senior Technical Consultant for the EU and Africa. And I think you've probably had projects all around the world. But today, as I am out and about, Saurav is actually going to be going through and talking to you about some Zebra MX tips and tricks, some different kind of hidden features, different ways to use MX commands and scripts, and then also some additional, maybe not so visible things that you can start to use and take advantage of here. With that, Saurav, I will, sorry, before we go to questions, hand over to you. You can share your screen and get started.
Perfect, thank you. I'll start sharing my screen and it should open now. So as you can see, my SureMDM console now. So today I'm talking about MX config and an MX script and how we can execute that for the viewers and listeners on this podcast or bi-weekly coffee break session. You might have seen the SureLock part of taking care of hardware, disabling power buttons, volume buttons doesn't work on Zebra devices with the SureLock configuration because it needs signed agent and etc. To cope up with that, to use full features, you can go with StageNow barcodes, and then you'll have to scan each and every device, which is not recommended from my side because we have a feature called your Zebra MX config. What exactly it does, if you see, it is a little bit different from what we do on our run script section because it has an import button over here and it is compatible with Zebra devices having OEM agent version 1.33 and above, and SureMDM should be 27.32 or higher. So what exactly you can do, you can generate your XML files on StageNow, and then you can save it as XML rather than creating the barcode and import it directly onto SureMDM console's Zebra MX config job. A, you can either import it, or B, you can copy the XML and then paste it. For example, if I want to disable or if I want to, for example, if I want to have something called airplane mode or anything that I want to execute from Power Key Manager, I can simply go and copy this particular script, go to SureMDM console and paste it, or if I have a file, I can import it and then save it as a name. And once I save it, it will be saved, after which I can apply it onto the device or devices and automatically this will get executed. Why this is important, why this will be very useful, it will end the dependency of scanning the barcodes or QR codes whenever you are creating StageNow, whenever you are doing StageNow scripting. You don't have to take all the devices and scan it. Rather, you just execute a file and it is done. And it will be done automatically from SureMDM console. It is more over the air, and it works on all the MX config that you can create. And somewhat you can control even the areas where you are executing OEM config policy for Zebra. And you don't have to execute from over here, rather than you can create MX script directly from Zebra's job site, MX config job site, and directly execute on the devices. Yeah, that is about what exactly MX config job does and how it can be executed onto Zebra devices, how you can play with your Zebra devices by creating those StageNow scripting, etc. from SureMDM console.
Thank you, Saurav. If you could, there is actually a couple questions that came in. One is, what is the difference between the OEM config and MX? And if you could, just a thing for me, if you could show MX logs, would be interesting.
So normally both of the things that OEM config does is limited to what features that is available. And you have things that has been added by Zebra, but I don't see getting it updated as much as it is the execution via StageNow. So you will have more and more scripting done, because you will see not all the features of Zebra is added onto OEM config policy, and you have a dependency of installing the application. And I see sometimes it needs couple of execution from SureMDM console to execute OEM config policy completely onto the device, and it takes time. The application will get installed, then you will have execution of these APIs that you have configured from OEM config policy, which will automatically get executed onto the device side. On the other hand, the MX config part, or the job that we have, Zebra MX config, is somewhat more reliable, which I felt it was more reliable and faster than OEM config, because you don't have a dependency on any different application. Anyway, you have OEM agent and SureMDM agent, but it will be anyway there on the device side. So it will reduce the dependency on any application. It will reduce the dependency on Google Play Store. It will reduce the dependency on if you are executing the APK from the App Store and managing the configuration from there. And whenever you are, one more thing that I feel, whenever you are executing Zebra OEM config from the profiles, by default some of the policies gets activated which you might not need. So that is where Zebra MX config comes into picture, executing everything onto the devices, and it is directly linked to the scripting that you do via StageNow. So you can create your own configurations for the users who already know StageNow. They tweak and twist the configuration so that they can fine tune it to their own need, and then they can import it over here and execute onto the devices. And the same thing again, whenever you are doing RX logger, or whenever you are tracking the logs of the devices, whenever you are executing MX config, that automatically gets captured into the device side. And with OEM config, you don't have something like that. One very good example is whenever we are doing DataWedge configuration, you have a configuration which you can use from OEM config, for example. And let's say you have the database file, but it is limited to what exactly you can do with DataWedge configuration. On the other hand, whenever you are using MX config from the job section, you can import a whole lot of configurations that you have in already created. And if you have a dependency on DB file which you will be transferring onto the device, you can execute it onto the device on somewhere on the storage, and then you can execute your MX config job from SureMDM console, which will automatically take it up and then have more and more configuration added to it. The very basic difference that I would comment at the last is StageNow is broader, and there are more and more features than what you do on OEM config policy using Zebra OEM config. So yeah, that is the main difference between OEM config and your Zebra MX config from the job section.
Thank you, Saurav. Yeah, I also agree with you. I think the reliability and the speed at which it works is much, you almost can't compare the two. I did send you a script. Yeah, Saurav, if you want to put that into a job just to show kind of, I don't know if you've got the monitors to show it, but what I really like about the MX is that it also breaks it into multiple pieces. So you can actually see what you're editing in the exact same XML format as what you kind of export out of StageNow.
Sure.
Makes it very easy to use. And if I don't know if you didn't look like you had a device online, but one of my favorite things is you actually get some feedback. So as you apply this job to a device, if it fails, you'll be able to see it broken down. So if you hit the view now on the right, you'll see that it's broken into two pieces. One of them is going to be a wireless management, which is line number 2. And then line number 6, you say we have APN configurations. So if you push this, for instance, to a TC22 or a device that does not have cellular functionality, you'll get an error message, and it'll tell you exactly which part of this package failed, which is quite interesting. If you do this as a regular job, you won't get that data. And of course, at the moment, I don't know of any other device that has quite this functionality and feedback. And as Saurav mentioned, if it works with OEM config, you have no idea what part worked or what part didn't. So exactly.
And it breaks, as Armaan mentioned, it breaks down characteristic version. So if you have something like whenever you are doing a Wi-Fi configuration or etc., and then you are adding app manager, Wi-Fi manager, and etc. So all these configurations can be saved into one and then executed directly. And whenever you are viewing it, it will break down each and every characteristic version, and you can see what exactly is getting executed. But with OEM config from the profiles, everything is, I would say, is distributed, and finding it is a tougher case sometimes. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Control F, essentially. But I think it's a great option. So if you have a MacBook, you don't have access to StageNow, then that's a good option for you. But if you do, and you're familiar with how StageNow works, using just the export or save for MDM, importing it here, being able to add values and push it and get feedback is a more recommended approach, I'd say, by us. I don't see any more questions, Saurav, so I think we've covered what you want to cover. The next webinar is on October 15th, and I don't know if you want to give a sneak of what you have prepared for us there, because you just told me earlier, and I'm quite amazed at it.
So we have developed a kind of a migration or let's say enrollment, which is called companion app. It is not in market. It is something which we can provide. It is something which is internal, but depending upon the requirement, we can always share it. So how does it work? It works for all your non-smart, semi-smart devices like wearables and watches, your specs, smart specs, and then your virtual reality and etc. So it's called a companion app, and I will be showing on our next session how exactly we can use companion app to enroll. In this case, a Wear OS. I'll be using a Samsung Wear device to enroll via my phone without actually touching the device. I'll be just connecting on it wirelessly, and then I will be executing SureMDM in automatic mode, and you can see how exactly the device gets enrolled with the developer option automatically updated on, and everything goes onto SureMDM console without actually touching the device, or without having that wired connection from your laptop and etc., which everyone does right now. But for us, it is a different game. We have made such a better app that you don't have to worry about enrollment anymore for these semi smart devices.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Saurav. Yeah, we look forward to your session on the 15th of October about this companion app and how to get different types of, I guess, wearables or any Bluetooth or tethered device that looks like into the SureMDM console. So thank you very much, Saurav. Looking forward to it. And thank you, everybody, for stopping by on this coffee break. Hopefully you had a coffee and no fire alarm like Saurav had this morning, and your day is just going on smoothly. If you have any questions, again, just please feel free to reach out to us, either myself at armaan@42gears.com or kumar.saurav@42gears.com, and we'll be happy to go into more detail or share some documentation, which you can actually find on the knowledge base as well. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great rest of your day, and see you on the 15th.
Thank you, everyone.